Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First Platform, talking AI data readiness with Trisha Merriam. How are you doing, Trisha?
I'm doing great, Chris, and I'm really excited for today. And I also realized that this isn't really part two. This is like part three of documentation.
Is it
Because in part one
Unified Customer Review?
we talked about why documentation is AI data readiness. And then in part two, we looked at some of the documentation that you put together when you're preparing a project. And now today, I'm excited because we're going to look at a specific agent and the documents that you, Chris Carolyn, would put together to feed to this agent.
Yes, I am excited as well. I think this is a great use case and, double win for me. I get to set up something in our HubSpot portal. And I think as we think about SaaS and its future, what I'm about to show, I think, is one of the reasons I think that HubSpot is well positioned. And the idea of agentic customer platform and creating a space for humans and AI to work together is really what's going to win. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to jump right in here.
Let's go.
Because I can't keep staring at this set up your agent button. Right. And kudos to HubSpot for making these agents, at least. I've seen this with all of their kind of out of the box agents in terms of like forcing you to do some level of setup so that you can't just push them out there. You can push it out there eventually, but there's been more setup here than I've seen on most of the other new tools that come out. So let's see, agent name. I was not prepared for this part. How about,
Mike, are you going to go with alliteration here?
yeah, like value Victor or something like that.
See, Victor was what I thought. It just must be
Yeah,
the V name.
have to be. Well, I got V is my AI operations lead, and then or my COO, and then my chief customer officer is Sage, and chief financial officer is Pax. So couldn't use those here. Voice, this setting will only apply when you connect a calling channel. Done a couple episodes with Zach Hushin about using customer agent for calling. We went through the settings there. I'll stick with Coral because we're not setting that up right now. Provide the content value Victor needs to be successful. To provide accurate and relevant information, your agent needs access to data sources, also known as documentation. You need at least one source. You can add more later. Content containing sensitive information may not be used. Ensure you have all required rights and permissions to use the content. All right, so this is a good example because this portal originally was for conveying your message exclusively. My first agency, and now it needs to be in support of the Value First team. So I'm likely going to get rid of most of these things, all of these things, because
they're not hosted in HubSpot.
What's that?
Because Value First isn't hosted in HubSpot.
The newest one. So these blogs
They are.
Could be a resource, but I think I'm going to end up using external URLs like this one. So if we go to Value myfirstteam.com. Really, I just want that whole site to be a resource. No need to import. Choose files. I'm gonna wait on that.
But where are you gonna wait?
Probably because I'm doing this live and don't know what's going to come up on the screen when I when I click this button.
Okay.
So let's just test right off the bat and see without any additional setup. You got a question for Value Victor?
Yes. Ask Value Victor, what's a good way to present a data model?
Strong approach to presenting a data model is to combine clear visuals with structured explanations, slide decks, presentations. So sources, no sources, reference content. Value Victor answered the question using the following content. Takes us there. So good to know which resource. But now I'm understanding that only using this single URL. So I should have probably clicked the button that said import related URLs.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was thinking, I just assumed that meant external URLs because it should be able to crawl from the domain, but maybe not. I also thought it was interesting. I know that you have, okay, so on the left-hand side, it says you might consider using resources like interactive data model designers. Oh, I thought that was a specific reference to yours because I know that you have one. I was curious to see if this would surface it or not. And I guess the answer here is that it did not.
Well, I think the fact that it's in title case, like this is what mine is called.
Okay.
And let's see if we can find it on the page here. Yeah, but it should be in Learn. So data model designer.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's grabbing it from the nav, but this whole group of things, like data model designers, presentations, educational playbooks, are all in the nav. So yeah, not as specific as I'd like it to be for sure. So we're going to go back. And now that we know what it's referencing, we can take a look at the settings. So manage, right? Use my brand voice. Let's go take a look at that over here. So basically, to answer that question, you just had brand voice and content sources, which is imported URL here. And now I wonder if it's easy to add import from public URL. There we go. Try this again. Import related URLs. Add. All right. Let's just go. How about we go to the Education Hub? And I start here. That's probably better, actually, just to hone in is documentation. Good. Most sources will sync within a couple minutes. So yeah, I'll be pretty happy if he brings in everything from the Learn. Let's go. Let's X out here. From HubSpot, we could upload a file, create short answers. So you can get pretty specific with what you want the answers to be, if you know the questions. But we have been talking a little bit about this in terms of it's still like not a deterministic system. So it can still take liberties with words here and there. It can be very hard to control, no matter how hard you document. But if we go back to, so it's in progress, this syncing. Go to core identity, back to brand voice, which should be in, like, get started with brand voice beta, add content samples to train your brand voice. Can also crawl website. When you apply brand identity to your content, this data is used as additional context. Let's do that. See, this is nuts. Like, again, we find more value in having better websites, right? Like if you've done content, if you've created content and your website has a lot of valuable content and you spent time on building out your brand voice and attributes and stuff, to be able to just come here and, because I don't know exactly what shape my brand voice is in. I may have touched it, but I know I've been doing a bunch of work outside of HubSpot on this other website. And now this is really what HubSpot has to do in this world of like, it's so easy to generate this stuff outside of HubSpot. If it's not click button, add to HubSpot, it's really hard to start changing the habits needed to start doing everything here. But we've got here, and also this will be a good snapshot to see if it changes how it updates this. So we've got a mission here. We've got terms to avoid.
Do you think it's already updated?
What's that?
Do you think it's already updated based on what you just did?
No, website crawl in progress.
Okay.
So terms to avoid: leads, funnel, pipeline, leverage, target, capture, churn, replacement rules. If I don't want those terms to be used, which terms I want to be used instead. Right, so a whole set of those. And I think when I first created this, I took a picture and I gave it to Claude and I said, fill all this stuff in. Right. So again, Claude had all that documentation, or it was created with Claude. So easy to come in and add it here. Additional context. This, I think, is I have not done this. So I don't think I've done this. So I like seeing this. 360-degree customer view. That's good. Competitive landscape. Now we're kind of getting off track here, but this is all documentation. We are focused on brand voice. You can learn more about how brand voice works. And like, again, this is one of the forms of documentation that we showed in all the Claude projects, like tone, attributes, values, messaging, all that stuff is used throughout HubSpot, and it's touching the brand voice. So I'm happy that I do not have to pick one of these other versions that HubSpot provides. Guidelines. this is a form of documentation that I would love to be able to just take the brand voice stuff and click a button here. But what we're going to do is take a screenshot. As you see this, have you seen this setup process before?
Yeah.
Of Customer Agent? Have you and Casey done it? You and Casey did it.
Yeah, I think we did do it. And I was thinking that could be why some of those things are already filled out.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I know this was already open when I went over into the demo portal. So like this one over here, the demo account already had some of this stuff set up. I wonder. Okay. So I'm going to tell Claude over here. Do you remember much about that episode?
No, because that was months ago.
Okay. So what, well, I get some help from Claude here to fill some of this stuff in. What comes to mind when you see just the settings navigation on the left?
You brought up something the last time we talked, which I thought was an excellent idea, which is if you're wondering what sorts of documentation you need for AI, like just start poking through the HubSpot agents, because what you see here on the left-hand side, if you don't already have this stuff documented, this is a fantastic place to start. And your data doesn't have to be clean. You don't like, if you're worried about data hygiene issues that are prohibiting you from doing any kind of AI thing, this is completely independent of your portal data. And you can just go start building this, with the help of an LLM so that you're ready to go. So it's, I guess when I look at these, I'm like, these are structurally foundation sort of content areas.
Yeah, and again, like we're reminded, CRM data is an option here, right? This is why it makes sense doing the show for AI data readiness, right? Like if your CRM data is good, you will be able to use it to support Customer Agent. If it's not, you got to do that part first. Like, even like I was going to mention, did you get to see Dharmesh's post about hub code?
No.
All right, I'm going to pull that up because it's becoming a reminder every day about, like, no matter how cool or valuable it is to build the things as quickly as we can, you can only drive value if you've got your architecture and data correct in HubSpot. So got that process started. Let me see if I can pull up Dharmesh's post, because it's going to be pretty awesome should he accomplish it. But it's basically bringing in, like, if you've seen any of our kind of Claude, our Claude code in the IDE, in that world, like bringing that into HubSpot to where it can bring in, like, so imagine if there was something called Hub Code that works like Claude Code and Claude Cowork, It lets you vibe code a HubSpot app. You tell it what you want the app card to do, and it takes care of the details. And he opened with UI extensions, right? And that's something that I've been working with Ryan Ginsberg a lot in terms of building some pretty awesome UI experiences in the middle of CRM records. But we can only do that in a valuable way because the data model is correct, right? Like if the data model wasn't there, like if you said, oh, I want to see inventory and I want to see all of this post-sales stuff in my HubSpot, and all you have is contacts, companies, and deals in your HubSpot, it cannot build it for you. Like in the cases where you know exactly where it is in the other systems outside of HubSpot, maybe we can get there. And even Customer Agent can do some of this stuff. But then we got to worry about integration, add more complexity. Like the fact that like you get your data model right inside of HubSpot is just so impactful. So what we're seeing is get that part right, get people aligned on a unified customer view is kind of an end goal for what, like the why behind getting that data model right. And then Claude Code or AI in general, knowing everything about how to build a good UI from any web module ever created ever. And you put those three things together, and we can say yes to just about every experience ask inside of a CRM record. And it's of course a lot of fun. It gets turned around really quickly. Yeah. So here, like this is an out of the box thing that will not drive value for you if you don't have, this other stuff that we're talking about, documentation, CRM data. I've got some responses from, and if you're curious, like I came over here and I said, all right. I said, hey, Sage, customer officer and V operations, can you help me set up the HubSpot customer agent in the VFT HubSpot portal and then I gave a screenshot. And it gave me the responses of tone. Right, here's what to paste in the tone field. Oh, and by the way, it says like Sage. She said, Sage here. This is my domain. How we show up in every interaction. V will handle the operational structure. Let me set the relationship foundation. Then V will build architecture around it. So I think that's a development that's happened since you were gone. That have built out this set of AI leaders responsible for the three org architecture, I think is viable for any business, which is operations, customer, and finance. And it's allowed me to be much more intentional with my prompting because I know like who I want to do that thing. And it's been a great learning experience. So tone, warm, direct, and genuinely helpful. Sound like a knowledgeable team member who cares about the person's actual situation, not a marketing chatbot trying to capture information. Be confident without being pushy. Be concise without being cold. If you don't know something, say so honestly rather than deflecting. Every interaction should leave the person feeling heard and valued.
Not processed.
Oh man, I love the taste of my own Kool-Aid, Trisha.
There can't be anything about that you object to right there.
Oh, it's so good. And like crushes probably 98% of what people have in that box who are looking for leads and data capture. All right, response style. And again, we come back to last week. Like that happened so easily because of the mountains of documentation, like behind the scenes, and the continued building of foundation, which gets easier and easier when you unify this context layer, right? Now, what's hard, understandably so, is like if I make changes over there, right, they won't necessarily come over here. So the
Mm,
value of finding one place to do this stuff still super important. I think I'd give it 3 to 6 months before you can API into all of these things, just like we
mm-hmm,
can with the rest of the platform.
mm-hmm,
Mm, This is, and at some point last year, they started using the term HubSpot everywhere because they know you want to do a lot of stuff outside of HubSpot that has to do with what's inside of HubSpot. So, how your agent formats and orders its answers. Lead with the answer, then provide supporting context. Keep responses conversational and concise, 2 to 4 sentences when possible, longer only when the question genuinely requires depth. Use natural language, not corporate jargon. Break complex answers into clear, actionable, clear, scannable pieces. When offering to connect someone with a team member, frame it as so we can understand your specific situation, never as qualification or a sales handoff. End with a clear next step or genuine offer to help further. Now, this is where, if it were anybody else, I would tell them to click the optimize button because HubSpot, like their system works in a specific way, and you want to get their help when it comes to the way it needs to be structured, like in order for customer agent to, like, maybe this works for Cloud Code, but not for, inside of HubSpot's architecture.
mm-hmm.
So we're going to click optimize and just see. And I'll probably just, optimization summary. I was not expecting that. And with reasoning,
Wow.
that's cool. So rewrote the instruction as explicit behavioral guidelines. All right. So at this point, it's kind of like if I'm willing to click the button, I need to trust like what's happening behind it, I think. So I'm just going to click accept. But that's very cool. Like that's one thing I think they're getting amazing at is transparency of how this stuff works. Because in most cases, you should be using AI to help you with documentation
Mm-hmm.
because it's a gap for everybody. Let's see what else we got here. And I didn't. All right, I'm going to screenshot these 3. And like this is the foundation. So like, sorry folks, like if you're not willing to take the time to fill these in and like with intention and care about the experience the customer's gonna have, like don't use customer agent.
Mm-hmm.
Like just don't. It's that you just need to care like more than that. Um, so let me give that a screenshot and say,
I mean, also maybe a good reminder that if you don't have something as a guideline for your team that they can refer to when they're responding, to customers when they're talking to customers. Like this is our mission, this is our values, whatever. If you don't have that articulated, you can't just rely on osmosis for people to pick that up. That's not something that they can refer to when they have a question, when they're not like they're trying to figure out whether I got it right or not. It's not even anything that they can feed into their LLM when they like craft a response and say like, is this in keeping with the brand? Like, is this what I'm expected? Is this how I'm expected to reply? There's not a feeling is not anything that they can check against. You got to give them something.
Yeah. And I remember when it was like 2024 and they first announced agents, there's a bunch of customer agent use cases being shared at Inbound. And the one that everybody was excited about was how like replace the 700 person support team like with 2 agents. And they mentioned like the part they gloss over is the part where it took them 2 months to be able to do that. And guess what they did in those 2 months? They documented process. They documented all of the guidelines that a human team did not have. So maybe if the human team had that, maybe we only need 300 agents instead of 700, right? So all of this is like, I understand why it happens, but if you separate what AI needs from what humans need, like you're just going to you're making it harder for yourself. So we've got scripted responses, reusable lines. All right. So let's see here. Greeting. Welcome to Value First. I'm Victor, here to help you explore our methodology, find resources, or connect with the team. What brings you here today? Returning visitor. Can't answer. Hand off to human. After helping. Apology. Okay. And maybe I could have gotten there as the human responsible for doing this, but it wouldn't have been as good. But definitely want to click this is so good. Like this is like a 101 class in how AI works. If you just went through this whole setup process and you can see reasoning and it's telling you why, man, lean into this, folks. Guardrails. Sage says this is the most important field on the page, by the way. The enforcement layer. Never use this language. Of course, our favorites. Never do these things. Never pressure someone to book a call, fill out a form, or provide contact information. Never gate information. Answer it freely. Never qualify or disqualify someone based on company size, budget, or title.
Only on the Value First team.
Oh man, it's basically don't do anything that's considered best practices by the status quo. Never make promises about outcomes, timelines, or pricing. Never discuss specific client engagements, revenue, or confidential details. Never pretend to be human. If asked, be transparent that you're an AI team member. Never disparage competitors or other platforms by name. Never use manufactured urgency. I like it. Someone asks about pricing. That one, I don't like as much. So human in loop here. I'm going to get rid of that one because I really like there's pricing on the website. Right. So as long as you understand what they're looking for, like go ahead and link them to the price or share the price. I love this one. Never refer to HubSpot as a CRM. All right. Click optimize. And then we'll grab the custom section. V here, this is where we encode the methodology so Victor actually understands what we do. All right.
I'm intrigued how they're like stepping in and taking ownership of different pieces of the process, like autonomically.
The leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And just, I think it's helpful since it keeps coming up. What's happening there is so my recommendation for orgs to simplify is to have a customer org, an operations org, and a finance org. And 2 weekends ago, I was like, all right, time to start eating our own cooking. And I started with V, and then I talked to V about, let's do one for all three. And they selected their own names. And then they made their own profile images. And the PAX choice was because it means peace as it relates to financials. So let's go. So that's what's happening. And they all have identities and like a focus for the organization. So sometimes I'll say, hey team, or I'll pick specific, pick specific leaders. It also forced me to change my HubSpot record because they also draft articles and create articles for the website. And they're drafting documentation. And so I had to change CRM from humans to friends so that I could have a contact record for them. All right. That was cool. Now there was a warning here that said I only had 1,300 characters or something like that. Custom should not exceed 1,300 characters. So that's going to stop me. Did I not accept this one? Accept that. Now I would hope that it's feedback for the team. If this says optimize, like take it down for me, down to 1,300 characters.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm just gonna, let's see. We operate with an AI leadership team. Get rid of these key resources. Our services include, oh, come on.
I'm sure the fact that you're the founder is mentioned somewhere else.
Yeah, thank you. There we go. Now optimize.
And that's not really an instruction anyway.
Restructure it into clear section. Did you restructure it? Yeah, I don't know. Wow. And that took me over the character limit. Killing me, HubSpot. Which one character? Oh, man. All right. We're going to have a fragment at the end.
It's okay.
We're okay. All right. How your agent communicates in messaging. Draft and published view. Switch between your saved draft and the currently published version to compare changes. All right. Live. So test live. What was our question again?
Something about, it was about visualizing data models. How would you?
Is the best way to present a data model? It's significantly different. So unified views, definitely something from the website. Practical examples, walkthrough scenarios. So Sarah Chen is a fictional journey that's on the website. And it looks like, so these links, of course, are helpful. But obviously, if there's just there's a change there, which is what we wanted to see. I guess I click live. Content sources, we've already done that. Again, we could add files here. And one of the tricks to what I'm doing right now is often when I'm creating documentation, for example, like our tech stack, I'm just making it and turning it into a website page too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to reference in all of the AI assistants that you might use. CRM data, add CRM data. And this is specific to contact. I think the contact object right now. And this is where, so accessing key customer details. So this is where you can solve for the portal, the self-service portal use cases. So updating address information. I expect them to expand this, over time. I think it's limited to 10 properties. Agent goals. Not going to be this one, but define how your agent will respond and which actions to take when helping resolve issues for your customers or generating new leads for your business. If we add, create an action, right? So again, all of this is documentation, right? Giving instructions, new action there, channel settings.
First impression, having gone through most of what's here at this point, how long do you think somebody should be spending on this? Like, it's not 20 minutes.
It's not short, no. So I think where the opportunity is, and this is where that story of going from 700 to 2, was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But the outcome of needing to support AI, so they did all the documentation that they should have done before, is often one of the benefits here. And I think if we come back to sources, almost everybody's got a set of PDFs or something, like user manuals, like how-to guides, great if you have a knowledge base. But even the companies that find a way to save email in their file structure very awkwardly, using that, I think if you have email in HubSpot, you can use like go find every time you answer a question, like in your email, and bring that over as a response and start to get help. I mean, as you do that, come over here, ask Breeze, hey, I'd like to give this to the customer agent. Like, help me format it, right? So there's always something to start with. And if you think you're having to start from scratch, like send me a message so that I can point you in the right direction. But
because you're not starting from scratch. Most organizations have this somewhere, and even if you don't have it documented, you have examples.
Right. And that's where it becomes a lot easier if you connect this kind of rep to the human reps. It's like, what does Trisha use? Like when that question comes in, this is where a lot of people have trouble thinking about what is somebody going to be doing on your website when they enter into the chat with the customer agent, right? And it makes you think through where the customer agent's going to be, what kinds of questions people are going to be asking, and what kinds of answers you want to be giving them in that moment where they're on the pricing page, or they're on the tech support page, or they're on the home page, right? Depending on where you put it, right? And the beauty of HubSpot is that it can make it super easy to just bring all that stuff into the system and make it easy to connect the dots, right? Including the human handoff here, like understanding how to trigger, when to trigger, who to send it to, which links, like do you need to make some meeting links so that it can give it to somebody, right? We've got website and mobile app chats, email, calling, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger. So again, unifying context, HubSpot's making that easy. And as long as that kind of unstructured data is coming in, your documentation processes should get easier and easier and easier, and it starts to create this cycle. And like, as you think about like website pages, landing pages, blogs, like all of this stuff becomes a repository for you to draw from. And whether you think about it as data or content or documentation, right? It's all context needed for AI to be successful on your behalf. And just a quick example of that. The reason that I haven't set this up yet is because I am trying some stuff on our own site where like my HubSpot is a mess, and I don't think you'll be able to hear this, which is okay. But what I want to show.
What are you using for your text to speech?
11 Labs, and it's usually good. But I got to play with. See, I haven't done. So it's easy to build the cool stuff, but since I don't have this whole settings infrastructure, it's not as easy for me to say like 2 to 4 sentences. Oh, I need to change that. It should be 6 or more. And actually recently, thanks to George B. Thomas showing how he did it, like I built a settings page like the customer agent page in the back end. I just haven't managed it yet. But what I want to show is, I think, right, like the idea of creating these context and data-rich experiences when you have everything together, because there's a content management system right next to this, it's easy to, create resource experiences. And a lot of experiences that people might think are not within reach, like if you have HubSpot, it's there for you. You just have to think through these things of, oh, now it makes sense to bring the files in that we've been like, this is the difference between thinking of HubSpot as a sales and marketing CRM only and thinking about it as, from my perspective, a customer value platform, from HubSpot's perspective, an agentic customer platform. Either one of those, like you've got, like, that's way different from just making sure that data is there to support my sales team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if you want to use things like AI, like that could be the easiest shift. Like, is the data there to support AI? Right? Way different from just a sales team that's trying to advance, deal stages and win deals.
Mm-hmm. Hey, go share that screen again because I have one more question for you. I thought this was really interesting that we saw this at the very end, or what feels like the very end, 28 days of free access.
Yep. If you haven't turned it on yet, so I guess my 28 days started now.
Well, has it? Because do you have to click that deploy agent button first?
Yeah, no, you're right. Deploy your agent and explore usage with no credit impact.
Yeah, so I think that that's really, really interesting. And I can think of different scenarios where maybe you like run it for a week and then go look at all the data and see what kinds of queries you're getting and refine it and also just to get an idea of what kind of usage it's going, how much will it cost you in terms of credits?
Yeah. And by the way, there's an internal training play here too, right? Like if you load up all of your documentation for sales and then you say like, what are the stages of our sales process? Let's see. Yeah. So it talks about the value path, doesn't give exact stages here, but sends me a link to the stages, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is another spot where even if this does it doesn't have to be customer facing in these internal situations. Like just get this information in the hands of AI and your
Mm-hmm.
human teams and just watch the magic happen. We were talking about this when we did the unboxing for calling. And like, if you're worried about testing it or the risk or like how many credits you're going to use, there's a lot of testing capability to where a sales manager could do setup and then have sales reps do the test to call agents. And guess what? You want everybody to start speaking the same language and get the messaging right. Like that's going to be a super powerful way to do that. But it's a mindset shift, right? So, but you almost never have to start from scratch. There's always some documentation somewhere, even if it's in your Outlook or Gmail inbox,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's always a place where if you don't have any ideas of what content can be used to support this, there's always some brilliant email exchanges to pull from, especially the ones where you've got a subject matter expert nearby and they like to write books,
Mm-hmm.
email responses.
Or potentially meeting transcripts.
Yep. Yep. So, any other open questions when it comes to documentation that we should touch on next week or what else is on your mind for the way forward here?
I don't know. I don't have any light bulbs going off at this moment in time, Chris. I'm just like taking all that in.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot.
It is a lot. I think for the first time for me, like almost anything you build right now from a documentation perspective, like will stick around and be valuable. And you can continue to build on and continue to build on. Like so many of our preparation activities from the past, we're creating slides in the moment, we're creating docs in the moment to share right now. And then like a week later, a month later, like they're out of date.
That's okay. So that's exactly where I just started going with this is like, where is it and what's the most recent?
Yeah. I mean, that's what HubSpot's trying to help with that, with the brand guidelines, with the brand voice. Like, again, it turns into a governance activity where who's in charge of the success of HubSpot in the case we're showing today, or in the case of AI in general. Like when we talk about AirOps and AI native and AI orchestrators, like for a HubSpot admin, like if you can understand what an AI orchestrator is, like, and you can put your mind, that's what we need, like running HubSpot at this point, right? And that is architecture and documentation that supports humans and AI in every organization. Like it's a new must-have role, in my opinion. What we have instead right now is leaders understanding the urgency of AI and saying, hey team, go figure out how to use AI to do your job better. And some people embrace that and start to create a lot of value. Others don't. And hopefully, hopefully this is helpful to avoid that misstep and put the people in your organization, put the people and AI in your organization in a position to be successful.
Maybe that's a good topic, is what should leaders be doing to encourage their teams to be data ready? What does that look like from a practical standpoint? What are they saying? What kind of structures are they putting in place? How are they empowering people?
I knew we'd get there. I like it. That sounds like a good topic for next week. That's for sure.
Okay.
So what do leaders do to help their teams to increase the readiness of their organization for AI? I like it. Welcome back. Until next week.